Welcome back to WeeChats with brilliant people, everybody. In this WeeChat, I talked to Catherine Arlidge, MBE. She's a violinist and a presenter for the City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra in England. Since starting to play the violin at the age of 5, Catherine has gone on to achieve many accolades throughout her career. In January 2016, Catherine was awarded a prestigious MBE in the Queen's New Year's Honours List for services to music education. In her career, she has started various programs to help use music as an educational outlet, whilst also continuing to play for the CBSO. In her WeeChat, she talks about what it's like to work with some of the best conductors in the world, like Sir Simon Rattle, the difference between striving to be a top performer as a violinist versus being a team player in the collective of an orchestra, be an ambassador for some of the greatest art known to us. She also touches on what her 3 P's of preparation are, and she talks about what she does to counter nerves before performing. She discusses the excitement that music brings to her, and especially being able to convey that to young audiences in her teaching. I hope you enjoy listening to this WeeChat with Catherine Arlidge.
Welcome to WeeChats with Brilliant People, hosted by Dr. Allison Rodius, Professor of Sports Psychology at John F. Kennedy University. In each episode, Allison talks to highly successful people in music, sport, and the boardroom. She digs into the mental training techniques that they use to ride out the waves that challenge them in work and in life. So enjoy these WeeChats with Brilliant People.
Hi everyone, welcome back to WeeChats with Brilliant People. Today I am so excited to talk to one of my best friends and somebody I've known for quite a long time. Her name is Cass Arlidge, and she is the sub-principal violinist in the CBSO, which is the City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra. Very prestigious orchestra in the UK. So welcome to the WeeChats.
Cheers.
Cheers. I'm so excited to talk to you. So here we are. We're actually filming this in the middle of the Olympics.
Yep.
So it's the feeling in Great Britain right now is we're all very excited, and we have our flags at every opportunity. Team GB. Good. So as you know, this whole series is about mental preparation for people who are performing at high levels. And I know that you are obviously performing at a high level. You're in the orchestra. But because it's the Olympics, I was just thinking, is there anything that you're seeing on the TV and at the events that you're like, oh yeah, that resonates with me as a performer?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's immense pressure on the athletes, probably that we don't always feel, that actually this is once in 4 years that they've got this moment to do it. So I think it's incredible. But I think day to day any performer faces those challenges, and you always want to do your best, whatever you're doing and however. So I think, and it's just the euphoria that they come out with is just incredible, and a sense of achievement and that buzz. You can almost feel it as an observer, can't you? But you can. I mean, I can certainly feel it certainly as a performer. I think as well. Clearly, I can't do what they do, but a similar kind of process in a similar kind of world.
I know. Isn't it amazing? Exciting. You think everything is just after 4 years of all this preparation and more. So what's really interesting, I find fascinating about musicians and artists like you, is that you're doing a lot of the same things over and over again, and then you're even performing some of the same things several times in a week.
Yes.
So what are some key things that really have helped you over the years to help you perform, like in terms of your preparation?
Well, personally, the way I prepare, I need to know I'm very well prepared. I need to know that I've covered all my bases and that I've done everything I can do. I don't like flying in feeling on the edge. I need to know for my own comfort that I've covered what I need to cover in my own space. And then that gives me generally then the freedom, because obviously I'm working with other musicians, working with conductors, working with other players. Actually that dynamic can change quite dramatically when you come together. So being so solid in what I know, what I can do, and then I can be flexible then in the coming together, in the process of actually performing and rehearsing. The best rehearsals are the ones that are non-verbal, where everybody
They just know.
knows and they communicate what they want physically, and the more you talk about it, the worse it gets. And we have an acronym, TMT at work, with too much talking, which can be applied to a lot of conductors. That actually, off he goes, and you can see everybody glazing over, and you've lost it. But actually, if somebody gives you a gesture that this means passion, this means faith, this means whatever it means, and you know what that means, or at that moment of time in sort of coinciding with the music, that's the gesture, that's what he interprets it to be, then he carries you, or she carries you with them, and it's
how interesting.
amazing.
So you're saying the best ways of getting that information is non-verbal. You think that's because you're a musician? Is that because the medium is in that way?
There is a verbal component, but really the very, very best conductors hardly need to talk at all, especially because a lot of the repertoire is, we know it, we're not learning it.
Yeah.
So somebody comes in and you're basically playing with a very highly tuned machine of people that can deliver what you want straight away.
Yeah.
So how do you then take that to this next level? And actually the ones that are best, the ones that leave the mechanics around. It's not about who's playing with who and who's not with who and who's not in tune, or it's about what does this mean and what is this saying. And you are an ambassador for this composer that lived 300 years ago, that at the moment he wrote it, he was thinking X, Y, whatever he was thinking. Yeah. And you've got to work out what you feel he was thinking, how is that relevant to you and the conductor, and then somehow our conductor at the moment, Andres Nelsons, is fantastic at that. He has a real vision for the emotion behind what's tried to be communicated, and it might be something written in 1600 to be played in a church, but it is still the same, or something written 1920 about, Russia, or something. There's a feeling and emotion and humanity behind that, and if you can somehow communicate that collectively, then it's great. I think it is all non-verbal at the best, because our performance is I guess athletes are non-verbal too, but I don't know. Yeah, it's very, very.
Yeah, how interesting. I haven't heard you talk about that before. So you were touching on the idea of, you as an orchestra are performing for the conductor and for the audience, and how does it differ for you? You're an individual within a team, and then I know you've also got this other aspect where you're the primary person and you're bringing music to children. So can you talk about that difference between when you're a team player and then when you're...
Well, a team player, it's very difficult, because I think as a musician you practice very hard in isolation for very, very many years, and you strive and struggle to be the best at what you can, and then you achieve your best, and you get into some great orchestra where you work with great musicians and great conductors, and then you're just suddenly a small little chip in a big computer kind of thing. And I struggled with that when I first joined the orchestra. That actually your individuality then can get lost in the bigger picture. So then I had to work quite hard at finding ways of being an individual within the collective. And when the collective is fantastic, you're carried along by that euphoria, and everybody's in it together and everybody's giving their very best. And we feel that, I think, especially when we tour, when you're off in say wherever, in New York, and it's sold out, you think, wow, this raises our game, and everybody's going to absolutely give their best and make sure that they're absolutely it's all 90 people doing the same thing at the same time. It's quite a big ask to get everybody really feeling their best. So I think the collective can carry you, but also it's important to have an individual. Being a violinist in a section, you have to conform, you have to be very unified with what's going on around you. And if that really works and everybody's putting together, that has an energy about it. I guess it's like synchronized swimming or something, that actually, if it's perfectly beautifully matched and coordinated, then that's something quite phenomenal. And the music obviously communicates something beyond that, hopefully. But I think also I've done a lot of work presenting concerts for children and families, where I am the sort of front person in the game, and that is again, that's not about me, because I always feel like I'm a sort of an interface between the music and the audience, and I always try and think, who am I playing to, who am I talking to, who am I exciting. You know, in a way, I'm an ambassador for 400 years of the greatest art known to man, you know, and what a privileged place to be able to do that. And actually say, you know, out of my bag of tricks, I'm going to show you this, and I'm going to show you this, and I'm going to show you this.
Yeah.
And I did a concert recently for young children, 5 to 7 year olds, about how does music make you feel.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. It was like a roller coaster. It was like the best theme park you could ever go to of what does this make you, take you here, take you there, bring it down, take it dark, take it scary, you know, show you something amazingly virtuoso. And it's just great to just be able to excite people about the same thing that excites me, essentially.
And then, so how do you get yourself ready for those? Take your pick, you know, choose an example that you think you can have. How do you get yourself ready when you get up in the morning? You know, what's the thing that you do, or do you not do anything particularly in the morning? You know, are you waiting till the evening when you're actually performing?
Well, a lot of it again is preparation. So I have 3 P's. I have pitch my show. I know who I'm playing to, so I have to know what my audience is, how old they are, whether they're adults, whether they're children, whether, you know. Pace my show, so I have to know where are the ups, where are the downs, and how I'm taking them on a journey. And then when I need to get up there and I need to perform and I need to just let it go and go with it, and whatever happens. And quite often with children, anything can happen and loads of things happen. And you know, I have an orchestra behind me, 90 people. I have an audience in front of me, 2,000 people. You're in a sandwich, you know, and if you've got to play to both really to keep everybody excited. And so I think before the last one I did, I was walking around talking to myself. That's what I tend to do, just going through because I like it to be informal and casual, as if I've just thought of it, you know. However, I haven't just thought of it, but I'm saying it in a way. If I have a script or anything like that, it's always just a single bullet, you know. And sometimes I go off and I miss things, but I don't worry about it generally, because it's usually taking me in the right direction for that moment. So. I think but I do get a bit nervous, and once one's out, usually I do a string of them, so once one's out the way and I know that it works, because the shows are always new, they're new combinations of music in different sequences and different messages and different things I'm trying to convey to an audience. So I think once one's done and you think you know, I mean, actually interestingly, I base it basically on the structure of a symphony, which is, you know, you hit hard with a message, you develop the message, and then you reprise the message, you know, and it's a sort of arcing structure. And if you get that right, if you pace that right, then you hit them hard, you grab their attention, you make them listen, you make them concentrate, you make them think, you make them feel, and then you build them out of it into this great euphoric kind of...
You've got me hooked! Clearly you're brilliant. You're like, yeah, I'm going out. I've heard any of the music. Actually, I've heard you a lot. That was brilliant. I can see that you're also very passionate about it. I think that is what makes the difference between a great performer and an okay performer. You know, you really believe it and love it. Yeah. I think it's interesting that you're talking about that meaning piece, because I think that might be different to athletes. It means something to them, and it might mean something to the nation.
Yeah.
But the way that you are doing your performances, it needs to... You're trying to show meaning through the music. That's really interesting in itself. One thing that you said, can I just go back to this? You said, when I get nervous, and then you went on to say...
I didn't say what I did.
Is there anything you do to...
I do. If I know it's going to be a big day, I always exercise. I always run hard before I'm doing something.
Oh, good.
To get rid of adrenaline. I have too much adrenaline on those kind of days. For what I'm doing physically, so that brings me to a calmer place, and I quite often run right before a show if there's a space to do that, and that just brings me down a bit.
How far do you go?
Oh, not far, about 3 miles, 3-4 miles, something like that. And so I've got a gym right by work, which is great. So if I'm performing at St. George, just go around and do that and get rid of some of the adrenaline. And I also did this other thing that, if I were to get nervous in playing, the thing that manifests itself is shaking bow.
Yeah.
And that is too much energy, it's being too high in your body and not being grounded enough. So running helps that. But also I think thinking about it makes it worse. Mm-hmm. So anything that's really difficult like that, like really slow, really quiet, really lonely stuff, I tend to try not to think about it at all. This is my latest tactic. It probably won't work next week, but it's worth trying. That actually I just... Because if your mind is working overtime, you're thinking of all the holes you're going to fall into, aren't you?
Yeah.
You know, before you fall into them, and then you fall in them, and
Yeah.
you think, well, there you go, I fell in them.
Great.
Yeah.
Just prove myself right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but actually, if you don't anticipate the holes, you don't. So I try not to think about it at all. So I try and I do quite a lot from memory. But if I'm in that kind of state, I want to do it reading the music, because I want to be absorbed. I want my mind absorbed in a process that is taking my mind off something that I might, the races. Look, I'm going to shake. It's going to be in that bar there, and it's coming up, and there it is. Yeah, there I did. And it's just trying to trick yourself out of.
I think what we call that in sports psychology and in performance psychology is like being in the moment, being mindful of what you're doing, and so you're forcing yourself not to be in the future by worrying, not being in the past and thinking, oh man, I was rubbish over there. So you're just forcing yourself to be in the moment. I like that. I think it's a really great strategy, and clearly it's.
But it works sometimes. None of these things work all the time.
No. But that's also the beauty of performance is, you don't know. You don't truly know, and as the audience, you're always keen to are they going to do amazing today? I mean, everybody can't be amazing all the time, but you can still be great. I think there's that extra level, and I think that comes in a more every 4 years maybe, or
yes,
do you know what I mean? I think you can't be exceptional all the time.
No.
Much as we would like to be.
But that's the irritating thing as well. You strive for that.
So I could talk to you for ages more, but we're going to need to wrap up. Can I finish with the list of little questions that I have? Just so happens on the back of an Olympic ticket. So I always start with this one. If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you try to do tomorrow?
Well, I guess I would love to do a show for the entire world somehow, if it were possible, to actually show them the wealth of great music that's out there, and that actually things that are always immediately accessible are not the things that are always necessarily the best, and actually try and open this door to, so many people have so many barriers to it, to actually, well, that's not about performing myself, but I feel like I'm an ambassador for something that ultimately, if I can do anything to convince people, I find it very frustrating if I haven't failed very often, but I did fail once with one man who said he didn't think he'd come to a concert again. That's bugged me forever.
Maybe he'll come back.
Yeah. Still working on it.
Okay. I think you can do that.
Yeah.
I think you can do that at some point. So
yeah, maybe we'll see.
I think
we'll see. Yeah, go global.
Yeah, go global. I'll help you. Okay, chocolate or vanilla?
Vanilla.
Okay. Creme brulee or sticky toffee pudding?
Well, that is a hard one.
I know.
Both, I think.
Both?
Well, maybe sticky toffee pudding.
Was custard or cream?
Custard.
Okay, good. Good choice. If you could meet anyone, dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh. I've been asked this before, and I said Haydn. I don't know if you know, Joseph Haydn was, he was a real prankster. He used to just play all sorts of mad jokes on his musicians and his audiences and do crazy things of his time. He was a court composer, so he could have lost his job by doing any of these things that he did, but he was a bit naughty, I think, and I would quite like to.
I like the sound of him.
Yeah.
I know his work, but I didn't know that.
He did naughty things,
okay. And last question, what have you enjoyed most about the Olympic Games so far?
Oh, I think that Saturday night when we had those three, we had the end of the heptathlon with Jess Ennis, and then Mo Farah as well. What was the other one?
Blimey. There was three. The long jump.
Yeah, the long jump, that's right. Yeah. It was all back, we had dinner, I've got to sit down by 8:30 and watch, these three British.
Yeah, it was amazing, wasn't it?
And the way the crowd carried them, and the atmosphere, and just the achievement is phenomenal. Especially Jess Ennis, that 8 disciplines, or is it 7 disciplines? Sorry, octathlon. That would be a new one. 7, yeah.
Yeah, it was
incredible.
Amazing. Yeah,
incredible.
Yeah, incredible. Well, that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much
for
being
Cheers.
Brilliant. Welcome to the list. Tune in next time to see who I am talking to on WeeChats with Brilliant People. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.
We hope you enjoyed these WeeChats. You can follow WeeChats with Brilliant People on Twitter @WeeChats. and Facebook. And subscribe to the podcast series on iTunes or any Droid platform. WeeChats with brilliant people.